Now, Burnley voted to leave the EU by a large margin. The town has a large ethnic minority population, and some we spoke to said they had experienced more racism since the Brexit vote. Sky's Michelle Clifford spoke to 4 women about their experiences since last June.
So this is a Sky News clip titled, "Is Britain Becoming More Racist?" What it actually gives us is a pretty shit attempt at demonising the Leave campaign. Now, whether you agree with leaving the EU or not, I think you'll agree that what's about to be presented is a piss-weak bit of evidence with an obvious agenda. This, of course, is the opposite of what we want on the news. Let's check it out.
I think the community in Burnley especially has always been divided as long as I've been living here. But I think that the thing about Brexit is it's allowed the division to be spoken about more explicitly.
So people have been able to talk about their differences of opinion? Well, this is brilliant news. After all, discussion and debate is really the only way we can solve the nation's problems without either autocracy or physical warfare.
And in ways that are more divisive as well, so not in just a very comfortable way where we're talking about, oh, we're all segregated and divided, but actually quite, it sometimes can be insulting, sometimes can be attacking, sometimes can be scapegoating.
Well, you're going to have to be more specific. Disagreeing with someone is obviously going to cause division, especially nowadays where people get offended over any bastard thing. She also says that sometimes it can be insulting, sometimes it can be attacking, sometimes it can be scapegoating. But context is king here. Remember, the report is trying to answer whether racism in the UK has increased, so it'd be very useful to give an example of where someone has been insulting, attacking or scapegoated in a racist manner, rather than just saying, oh, sometimes people say bad things, so yeah, it's definitely increased.
Is that something that you have felt as well, that it kind of has legitimised? But maybe...
Wait a minute.
Is that something that you have felt as well, that it kind of has legitimised? But maybe...
Right, so this focus group that's here to talk about their experiences of racism is made up of 4, possibly 5, no offence to her, but I can't quite tell what the race of pisscoat is over there, but at least 4 white British people. Out of 5. What kind of fucking clue are they going to have about how much more racism there is? You'd think that if racism was on the rise, they'd have a focus group with multiple races, all discussing whether or not they've been subject to more racism after the Brexit vote, and if so, when and how. Is it just me, or is this starting to look piss weak already? I mean, we're only just getting started.
Yeah, I think people feel that they can more openly speak about them now and in public, and you know, when they're in places they can talk about things like that.
Breaking news. People are now talking about current issues in public. God damn those sick freaks of nature.
And is it something you've noticed?
Yeah, I have noticed, like, when I've been out and when I've been, like, socialising or been for, like, coffee and stuff, of the conversations that people do have to feel they are, you know, able to speak about them types of things more.
Yeah.
Does this chick even believe her own argument? She keeps looking around like, guys, am I saying the right thing? Do you think she'll leave soon? But again, why are these people making it sound like discussion is the problem? So far, this focus group hasn't even used the word racism, let alone define it with an example. For all we know, these people could have just been talking about illegal immigration or some other edgy yet not racist conversation. They aren't telling us anything about witnessing any racial slurs, exclusion, or physical violence.
So, you've noticed more racism, I suppose people would call it.
Yeah, that's what I would call it. Yeah, when you hear people speaking, it is racist, but they don't consider it to be because they think they're able to say that now.
You would not call it racist. You just said that because she forced you into that direction. Look at you. You're so unconvinced with your own argument. She reminds me of that kid in class who the teacher asks a question to when everyone knows that kid doesn't know the answer. And after a few minutes of umming and ahhing, the teacher's like, come on, it begins with B or whatever, until the teacher finally just says the whole answer and the kid's like, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. The way this reporter is edging these people down a particular path, I'm starting to think she's got a preconceived agenda, you know?
Who thinks Britain's a more racist place than a year ago?
Yeah, it seems to be, yes. More explicit.
I guess if everyone's kind of, raising their hand, I guess I will too. This is going on the news and I wouldn't want to look like a knob. Well, that is damning evidence. 4 people weakly raised their hand after a shepherd-like reporter asked them a loaded question. I guess this confirms it. Brexit made us racist.
It's Brexit that's actually unleashed it, but
No, I don't reckon it is. I think twats have just always existed.
I think it's the example that's set us by the political leaders who feel enabled to be able to say things that are really quite outrageous. And it has validated people's thinking and ability to speak out.
Those bastard politicians. They went and said crazy talk and now everyone thinks their opinion is worth something. Those fuckers. Notice again though how there's no example she can give of her own experience where these opinions were in any way racist. We only know from her contribution that opinions were made.
Things they've got less in common now with people from other parts of the country.
I could say that I have less in common with some people as close as my own family members that live in the south.
Cut! We're supposed to be making Britain look more racist, not talk about your family issues, Gwyneth. For fuck's sake, get a grip.
I think Britain's a more divided place now than a year ago.
And look at that. That's the response you get when people fully agree with a statement. Now, compare the response to a statement we know to be true versus the response to a statement when they had to say something they didn't necessarily believe in. Now, the main issue to this video that I have is not necessarily the question of whether Britain has become more racist. It's down to your personal opinion. However, I do think much of the racism we have suffered today, thanks to a few mindless wanker individuals, has existed before Brexit, and I think any spike in racism was temporary. My personal opinion is that the spike in racism was caused by the high tensions between multi-race Remain voters and the small unintelligent portion of Leave voters. Look at it this way. Before the vote, people were desperate for their side to win. Tensions were high. The unintelligent portion of Leave voters ran out of things to say in the numerous debates of the time. Racist comments. After the vote, the unintelligent portion of Remain voters piss and moan. The unintelligent and intelligent Leave voters are pissed at the lack of loyalty to democracy. More debates. Again, the unintelligent Leave voters run out of things to say. Racist comments. Now, this is by no means acceptable behaviour, but it does explain why it happened. Now the focus is shifting towards a Brexit plan, racism will occur less again. If it doesn't, rest assured that I, at least as a Leave voter myself, will stand against any form of racism where it actually happens. As for this piss-weak article, I just conclude that Sky News, like most news networks, saw an opportunity to exploit the panic that was caused by the temporary spike in conflict. And, as a network who seems to be very much against Brexit, have subsequently sought to create a shit piece of journalism to try and unjustifiably cause panic from nothing. These women didn't have a clue about whether racism has increased, and that reporter had an agenda. It's sad that people have to rely on this shite for their knowledge on what's going on in the world, and it's even shitter that some people actually believe this crap. I've left the link to the full video in the description. If you have the time to give it a watch, once this bit that I've showed you is over, they go back to the studio with 2 people who actually know what they're talking about, debating Brexit and immigration. It's pretty interesting if you like that sort of thing. In the meantime, take care of yourself, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Thanks.